If you're continuing into this second part, your body has already begun to respond, not because you forced change, but because the conditions around you started to shift. In the first part of this reset, we focused on reducing pressure, restoring warmth, supporting digestion, and calming the nervous system. These are the foundations. They create safety. In this second part, we turn toward integration, how the body maintains balance through rhythm, how energy is preserved rather than drained, and how to carry these shifts forward without turning them into rules or rigid routines. This is not about doing more. It is about allowing what has already begun to settle. Let's continue gently. Chapter 5. Rhythm is more powerful than willpower. Once the body begins to feel safe, it looks for one thing next: consistency. In Ayurveda, healing does not depend on intensity, it depends on rhythm. Rhythm tells the body what to expect, and when the body knows what to expect, it relaxes. Many people rely on willpower to create change. They push themselves to follow plans, maintain motivation, and stay disciplined. This can work for short periods, but it requires constant effort, and effort is expensive. The body does not thrive on effort, it thrives on predictability. When meals happen at irregular times, digestion stays alert. When sleep varies widely, the nervous system stays unsettled. When days have no recognizable pattern, energy scatters. This is not a personal failing, it is how the body responds to uncertainty. Ayurveda teaches that rhythm reduces the body's workload. When timing becomes consistent, systems no longer need to adapt constantly. Energy that was being spent on adjustment becomes available for repair. This is why rhythm heals more deeply than willpower ever could. Rhythm does not require motivation, it requires repetition. Eating around the same times each day, waking and resting within a similar window, creating simple anchors that tell the body this is familiar. These anchors don't need to be perfect, they only need to be reliable. The nervous system responds quickly to this kind of consistency. Breath steadies, digestion strengthens, energy becomes more even throughout the day. You may notice fewer highs and lows, less urgency, more steadiness. That steadiness is healing. Ayurveda never asks for rigid schedules. Life is not that predictable. Instead, it asks for approximate rhythm, enough structure to create safety without turning the day into a performance. Today's invitation is simple. Notice where your day already has rhythm, and notice where it doesn't. There is no need to correct everything. Awareness alone begins to shape behavior gently. The body often organizes itself once it knows what feels stabilizing. Rhythm is not about control, it is about cooperation over time. When rhythm returns, effort decreases. When effort decreases, healing continues without strain. This is why rhythm sits at the center of long-term balance, not because it demands discipline, but because it removes the need for it. Let this understanding settle quietly. In the next chapter, we'll explore how reducing input, not adding more, allows energy to return naturally. For now, allow rhythm to be felt rather than managed. The body recognizes it immediately. Chapter 6. Less input, more energy. As the body begins to settle into rhythm, another truth becomes clear. Energy does not return because we add more, it returns because we subtract what overwhelms. In Ayurveda, exhaustion is not always caused by effort. Often it is caused by excess input. Input is not just physical activity, it is everything the body and mind must process. Noise, screens, conversations, decisions, information. Even pleasant experiences require energy to digest. Modern life keeps input constant. There is always something to respond to, something to absorb, something to manage. Over time, the system adapts by staying alert. This alertness feels like engagement, but it quietly drains vitality. Ayurveda recognizes this as a form of overload. When input never pauses, the body never finishes processing. Digestion remains incomplete, not only of food, but of experience. Energy that could be restored is instead tied up in constant integration. This is why rest alone does not always feel restorative. You may sleep but wake up tired. You may slow down yet still feel full. The system has not had space to finish. Less input creates that space. When stimulation is reduced, the nervous system downshifts, breath deepens, muscles release, digestion completes its cycle more fully. Energy that was being used to manage incoming signals becomes available again. This is not about isolating yourself or removing all engagement. Ayurveda is never extreme. It is about intentional reduction, choosing fewer inputs at a time, allowing silence without filling it, letting moments pass without commentary or reaction. These small pauses matter. They tell the body it does not need to stay alert. They allow the system to integrate rather than brace. You may notice that when input decreases, sensations become clearer. Hunger feels more distinct. Fatigue feels more honest. Emotions move through more quickly. This is not a problem. It is the body recalibrating its signals. Many people are uncomfortable with this at first. Stillness can feel unfamiliar. Silence can feel empty. But over time, the body recognizes relief. Energy begins to return quietly, not as excitement, not as stimulation, but as steadiness. Ayurveda values this kind of energy. It is sustainable. It does not spike and crash. It supports focus without strain and movement without urgency. Today's invitation is gentle. Notice where input is constant. Notice where you can create small pockets of less. You do not need to eliminate technology or social contact. Simply reduce overlap. One thing at a time. One conversation without distraction. One meal without screens. These moments accumulate. Less input allows the body to finish what it has already taken in, and when processing completes, energy frees itself naturally. You do not need to chase energy. You need to stop blocking its return. As this reset continues, you may find yourself craving simplicity. That craving is not boredom, it is intelligence. The body knows when it has had enough. In the next chapter, we'll explore how gentle repetition, rather than intensity, allows these changes to become stable and lasting. For now, allow yourself fewer inputs than usual. Notice what happens when the body is given space to complete. Often, that space is all it has been waiting for. Chapter 7. The body resets through repetition. Once the body begins to feel supported, it looks for one more thing: reliability. In Ayurveda, change does not become real through intensity, it becomes real through repetition. The body trusts what it experiences again and again. One nourishing meal does not restore digestion. One good night's sleep does not repair exhaustion, but small, supportive actions repeated gently begin to reshape the system. This is how the body learns. Many people believe they need to make big changes to see results. They wait for motivation, they look for the perfect plan. Ayurveda offers a quieter approach. It asks for consistency, not perfection. When supportive actions are repeated, the nervous system stops scanning for disruption. Digestion begins to anticipate nourishment. Energy flows more evenly because the body no longer needs to adapt constantly. Repetition creates familiarity. Familiarity creates safety. Safety allows healing to continue. This is why Ayurveda favors simple routines over dramatic interventions. Simple actions repeated daily place less demand on the system. They are easier to maintain, and because they require less effort, they are more likely to last. You may notice that when you repeat something supportive, it begins to feel natural, less like a task, more like a rhythm. This is the body integrating change without strain. Repetition does not mean rigidity. Some days will look different. Some days will feel less settled. Ayurveda does not interpret this as failure. It sees it as information. When repetition resumes, balance returns more easily. This is one of the most important shifts in the reset. You stop measuring success by how well you perform and begin noticing how the body responds over time. Progress becomes quieter, less dramatic, more stable. You may notice steadier energy, more consistent appetite, a sense that the body is less reactive. These are signs of integration. The body is not bracing as much. It is not compensating as often. It is beginning to trust its environment. Today's invitation is not to add more practices. It is to repeat what already feels supportive. Notice what the body responded to earlier in the reset: warmth, regular timing, reduced stimulation, moments of calm. Return to those gently. You do not need to hold everything at once. 1 or 2 repeated actions are enough to keep the reset alive. The body does not ask for intensity, it asks for reliability. As we move toward the final chapters, we'll begin to notice how these repetitions show up as subtle signs of change, often before we consciously recognize them. For now, let repetition do its quiet work. Trust that what is repeated with care becomes stable, and stability in Ayurveda is the beginning of lasting balance. Chapter 8. Signs the reset is working. As the reset continues, you may begin to wonder if anything is actually changing. Ayurveda teaches that healing often shows itself quietly before it becomes obvious. The body does not announce progress loudly. It reveals it subtly, through shifts that are easy to overlook if you're expecting dramatic results. This chapter is an invitation to notice those quieter signs. One of the first signs the reset is working is steadier energy, not bursts of motivation or excitement, but fewer crashes, less urgency, a sense that energy lasts longer throughout the day. Another sign is digestive ease. Meals may feel more complete, hunger becomes clearer, heaviness after eating decreases. You may not think about digestion as often, and that is often a good sign. You may also notice changes in sleep. Falling asleep feels easier. Waking feels less abrupt. Sleep may not be perfect, but it feels more restorative. The nervous system is learning that it is safe to let go. Emotionally, there may be a subtle softening. Reactions feel less sharp. Stress passes through more quickly. You may still feel everything, but it does not linger in the same way. These are signs of integration. The body is not bracing as much. It is not compensating as often. It is beginning to trust its environment. Some people notice that their breath changes. It deepens without effort. Others notice that their body feels warmer, especially in the hands and feet. These are small but meaningful signals that circulation and internal warmth are improving. You may also notice what is no longer happening: less tension held in the jaw or shoulders, less background anxiety, less need to constantly adjust or manage. Ayurveda values these absences as much as it values presence. It is important not to rush these observations. Healing does not move in straight lines. Some days will feel better than others. Some days may feel unchanged. This does not mean the reset has stopped. It means the body is integrating at its own pace. This is why Ayurveda discourages constant self-evaluation. When the body is watched too closely, pressure returns. When it is allowed space, progress continues. Today's invitation is simple. Notice without judging. Observe without correcting. Allow the body to show you what has shifted. You do not need to name every change. Awareness alone strengthens trust between you and your body. As trust grows, effort decreases further. In the next chapter, we'll talk about what happens when life inevitably interrupts the reset and how to return without starting over or losing progress. For now, let the quiet signs matter.
Healing rarely announces itself, it reveals itself in steadiness, ease, and the absence of strain. Those are the signals to listen for, and if they are present, even faintly, the reset is already working. Chapter 9. When life interrupts the reset. At some point, life will interrupt the reset. This is not a problem, it is expected. Ayurveda was never designed for perfect conditions. It was designed for real life, life with responsibilities, disruptions, emotions, and unpredictability. The goal of a reset is not to protect you from interruption, it is to teach the body how to return. Many people abandon supportive practices the moment routine breaks. They feel they have failed, fallen behind, or lost momentum. Ayurveda offers a different understanding. There is no starting over, there is only returning. When rhythm is disrupted, the body does not erase the progress it has made. It remembers what felt stabilizing. It remembers warmth. It remembers calm. It remembers digestion that felt supported. That memory matters. This is why resets that focus on conditions rather than rules are more resilient. Conditions can be recreated at any time. Rules tend to break under pressure. You may notice that during disruption, old sensations briefly return: fatigue, tension, reactivity. This does not mean the reset was ineffective. It means the body is signaling what it needs again. Ayurveda treats these signals as guidance, not setbacks. When life speeds up, the invitation is not to fix everything. It is to choose one stabilizing element and return to it: warmth, regular meals, reduced stimulation, moments of stillness. One is enough. The body does not require perfection to maintain balance. It requires recognition. Recognition that strain has increased. Recognition that support can return. This is how the reset becomes sustainable, not by avoiding disruption, but by responding to it with intelligence. Over time, you may notice that recovery from disruption becomes faster. The body recalibrates more easily. What once took days to settle now takes hours, sometimes minutes. This is a sign of resilience. Resilience is not the absence of stress, it is the ability to return to balance without force. Ayurveda teaches that the body is always moving toward equilibrium when conditions allow. Your role is not to control that movement, but to remove what blocks it. When life interrupts, soften expectations, reduce input where possible, return to what the body already knows. There is no need to evaluate or criticize yourself. Judgment adds pressure. Pressure delays recovery. Instead, treat disruption as information. What does the body ask for now? What support feels most accessible? Answer quietly. As this audiobook moves toward completion, the focus shifts from doing the reset to living with the reset, allowing it to inform how you respond rather than how you perform. In the final chapter, we'll bring everything together and explore how to carry this understanding forward without turning it into another system to manage. For now, remember this: interruption does not undo healing. It reveals how well the body has learned to return. And the ability to return, gently, without urgency, is one of the clearest signs that the reset has truly rooted.
Chapter 10. Carrying the Reset Forward. As we come to the end of this reset, it's important to name what this experience was and what it was not. This was not a program to complete. It was not a system to master. It was not a challenge to succeed at. It was an introduction to how the body responds when it is supported rather than pushed, an introduction to what steadiness feels like when pressure is reduced, an introduction to a different relationship with effort, rhythm, and care. Ayurveda never intended resets to be temporary fixes. It intended them to be reference points, moments where the body remembers what balance feels like so it can return there more easily in the future. That memory is now established. You may not feel transformed, you may not feel dramatically different, and that is often a good sign. Deep change rarely feels dramatic. It feels quieter,
more settled, less urgent. The absence of strain is easy to overlook if you're used to effort. What matters now is not how closely you follow what you've heard, but what you've noticed. Notice what brought ease. Notice what stabilized energy. Notice what allowed the body to settle without force. These observations are more valuable than any routine. Carrying the reset forward does not mean repeating everything every day. Life will not allow that, and Ayurveda would not ask for it. It means recognizing when the body begins to feel pressured again and responding earlier, more gently. It means returning to warmth before fatigue becomes depletion, returning to rhythm before chaos sets in, returning to calm before tension becomes the norm. You now know the signals, and you know the supports. This is not about maintaining a reset forever. It is about shortening the distance between imbalance and care. Over time, that distance becomes very small. You may also notice that your definition of health begins to change. Less about performance, more about steadiness. Less about achievement, more about sustainability. That shift matters. Ayurveda teaches that health is not a state you reach, it is a relationship you maintain, a conversation between you and your body that becomes clearer the more you listen. This reset was one chapter in that conversation. You can return to any part of it when needed, you can revisit individual days, or you can simply carry the understanding forward, letting it shape how you respond to stress, fatigue, and change. Nothing here needs to be remembered perfectly. The body remembers what it needs. As we close, allow yourself to rest in what has already been done. No urgency, no next step required. Just a quieter system, a clearer signal, a steadier foundation. And when life pulls you away from this feeling, as it will, you now know how to return. Gently, without force, with trust. That is the true reset, and it is something you can carry with you long after these 7 days are over. As we come to the end of this audiobook, I want to take a moment to thank you. Thank you for giving your time. Thank you for listening with openness. And thank you for allowing yourself the space to slow down. Listening itself is an act of care. In a world that constantly asks for more, choosing to pause, even briefly, matters. Whether you listened all at once or returned in pieces, your presence here is enough. If this audiobook was supportive, you're warmly invited to subscribe to this channel. Subscribing simply ensures that you'll have access to future recordings, new audiobooks, extended series, and gentle explorations of Ayurvedic wisdom, all offered in the same calm, audio-first format. There is no urgency, no obligation, just an open invitation to continue listening whenever it feels right. Before we close, please take a moment to listen to this final note. Spoken disclaimer. This audiobook is shared for educational and informational purposes only. It does not diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any medical condition, and it does not replace professional medical advice or care. The perspectives offered here reflect traditional Ayurvedic wisdom and general wellness principles. Every body is different, and individual needs and responses can vary. If you are managing a health condition, are pregnant or postpartum, or are taking medication, please consult a qualified healthcare professional before making changes related to your health. Listening to this audiobook does not create a practitioner-patient relationship. Thank you again for being here. May what you've heard support steadiness, clarity, and ease, and may you return to it whenever your body asks. Take care and listen gently. Love, Estrella.